How's it going, you guys?
Good.
Very well. Look at all your devices of every.
Not as much of the technology you guys use on the show.
That's true, but
You're a scientist, right?
your devices are also charming and antiquated.
I did have a question. When I was watching the show and you were using so many big words, it just blew my mind. I was like going, man, I studied like biochemistry myself and I didn't even know what you were talking about. Did you even know what you're talking about?
That's the real question. Thank you for noticing my big words. It doesn't always come easily to me, so I learn a lot when I learn those lines.
Do you guys ever work closely with the writers, or do they hang out with you and try to pick your brain on what words?
They come to say, it's funny though, because I had like 1 or 2 days at the beginning where I did pretty well with those big words, and then all of a sudden you get like, thanks.
Don't know what he's saying.
Don't know. Like 1 or 2 good days at the beginning of like of getting it right, then all of a sudden they were like, oh, he could do that. So like there'd be like three more pages in the next one. I was like, oh, and
turn to spelling bee.
Well, one of the things that I really like about one of the things that happened this year was there's an actress named Shauna McDonald this year who's playing Dr. Zheleznova Bordokovskaya. Can't spell that for you. But she works with Bryce in the tower, and so we have these excellent interactions. And Shauna, they wanted her to be Russian, and Shauna speaks perfect Russian, like a native. So she was able to really work with the writers a lot about translating a lot of her dialogue and stuff. And so in one of the first scenes that we have together, she was speaking back and forth in Russian, and I'm just kind of walking along nodding, and then she gave me a line in Russian at the end, so that just in passing I kind of respond in Russian and we go on. And that sort of sprouted this idea that like, isn't that funny that Price just seems to understand what she's saying? And so then they wrote me a scene later where like I have a line in Arabic, and like just this idea that, and it's never commented on, but I just love that sense of collaboration too, that and that weirdness, that feeling of like, no matter what you're speaking in, Price knows what you're talking about, which I thought was like a fun little character thing that came up out of that kind of collaboration.
Do you have a scene for the new season that you really enjoyed filming, one that kind of stands out for you that you think people are really gonna like?
I really like dunking my head in the bathtub a lot.
I really like it when you dunk your head in the bathtub.
I really like it when she dunks her head in.
And can we answer that question for the other people? I mean, Dia won't be able to answer mine because she doesn't read my scenes apparently.
Oh,
but
whatever.
I could tell you. The bathtub scene for you is great. There's a great scene that the sheriff has with the bishop later on in the season that I love.
Yeah.
And a great, really bizarre, chilling scene that he has with Norman that ends an episode that is so creepy and weird. It's pretty cool.
I
know-
really, sorry.
Oh, no.
Can I just say that
Yeah.
I really liked the eating when Roman eats the
That's
what
exactly
are they
what we call
called?
it. That's what we call it. It's called.
What are they called? They suck blood.
Leeches?
Leeches. I thought that was cool, man. That was creepy and weird, and
Yeah.
I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
I thought that's a really cool scene.
Yeah, I know exactly what Joel's talking about, and unfortunately, the content I think remains to be seen and experienced by the audience. But I think the audience, when watching, they'll know when they get to those scenes.
And describe the chemistry on set with everyone versus on season 2 versus season 1. How's it changed? And how's things kind of coalesce into each other?
Well, clearly we hate each other.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
stand these guys.
It helps so much when you like the people that
Yeah.
you're working with.
Going to work is so much fun, and then even all of the new people who've been introduced in the second season are all just so sweet and amazing and bring something new, and yeah, I loved going to work.
I was a little bummed in terms of in that way coming to the show towards the end of season 1, because I arrived with all of this sort of cohesion and camaraderie that everyone else was experiencing, and it's just like anything else. It just takes time to join a family or to be grafted into a family. So where I'm sitting now, totally love it and resonate with what these.
It's such a wild ride that you kind of have to enjoy everybody's company that you're on the ride with.
I mean, it helps too. For me, it helps that if to be not well liked, to have my character misunderstood and not well liked in the world. It's very helpful to me to really like the people I'm around, so I can behave appropriately. You know, like where I feel comfortable playing with them in the way where I can be cruel, in a playful way with them, as opposed to, having to manifest that self in a more hostile environment, perhaps.
That's a good point.
How's the fan reaction been that you guys have experienced to the first season, now people getting ready for the second season?
I think our fans are great, especially, there's a really loyal contingency on Twitter, and I think Netflix has been really wonderful. There's so many people coming to the screening that we're having tonight, and it's a great way for, the show to interface with the people that really like the show. It's a good relationship to foster.
I was just honored that people wanted to see more of my character, I mean, I wanted to see more of my character, but I was glad that other people wanted to see, where she would go and just get to know more about her. Yeah. It's nice that they want to see more.
Earlier, Falco was saying that she's really squeamish around horror movies. So, just curious, how would you characterize each of your relationships with the genre, with horror?
Oh, for me, I wasn't raised watching. Some of my friends, oh, did you see It, the Clown, that movie, or Friday the 13th? All of those things. I never used to watch that, but I was allowed to watch Silence of the Lambs and Seven and all of those kind of movies. For some reason, I was allowed to watch that. So I love the genre in that sense, the thriller, the mystery, but I wasn't really into the gore stuff until later in my life, and also because of the way that my career has gone, I just happen to get a lot of this strange stuff. But it's fun. I love the genre because there's so much room to play. There's so, where are you gonna go next?
That's a great way to put it. It gives you a lot of places to play. It's fun. If it were real life, it would be terrifying. But the fact that we get to play, it's sort of like what makes you want to be an actor to begin with. Like you're running around, getting to be like a mad scientist, or getting to be like the sheriff trying to find the answer, or getting to be like the fortune teller, mystic, psychic. I mean, these are things that, and you have an amazing team behind you that make it look real and amazing. So it's like you're getting to play like a kid with all the cool toys, though. It's like the equivalent of holding like a lightsaber or something like that.
I feel like for myself, I really enjoy all the genres that exist, and I think for me, what that points to is just I love to perform. I love what we do, and in whatever context it is, because I think in terms of the audience, we're all human, and there's a universality to being human. We all have, I think, a desire for meaning. We have a desire for connection, for intimacy, for belonging, and all of those things are universally dispersed throughout all genres. So it's an interesting question, but I always find my head, and I think I'm refining it every time that it's asked. Why it is that my head kind of glitches. It's like, well, I kind of like it. I love it all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'll do any genre. I just love doing what we do.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys couldn't predict the popularity of the show, but what first initially attracted you guys to the script when you guys read it?
For season 2 or season 1?
Season 1, initially.
I loved that I got to play a gypsy. I think gypsies are awesome, and I thought it was a really cool take on the vampire werewolf, I guess, genre, or the kick everyone's on with the whole vampire werewolf thing lately. I thought it was a really cool take on that, and I was attracted to the fact that I got to be a gypsy and a witch and Yeah, I have so much fun with her.
I was really, I found the relationship between Peter and Roman to just be so compelling and sort of original. Like, I mean, certainly in the States, you know, you don't often see like a show that focuses on like, you know, two young men like that who care about each other, like in the way that they cared about each other, in kind of like a, I mean, for two young men to portray that in a non-ironic way, just that you know, and you know, watching them how they have trouble dealing with how they feel about each other too a lot of the time. I thought that was so interesting and cool, and the fact that they're both that one's a vampire and one's a werewolf is even better. Like it was, but you know, you have all these trappings around a story that pretty much comes down to like it's sort of like it's like a family drama, like the Godfrey. It really is. It's about this family or the romantics. It's like it's these families and things are going wrong between them and how they're dealing with it, but they all happen to, on the outside anyway, be monsters. So,
well, how multifaceted it is. You know, just the various players that are involved and how the, you know, their various intentions ebb and flow and intertwine, and just the grit. I felt like even just kind of reading the script and not just the gore and wondering how that would be done or executed. Pardon the pun. Just there was almost kind of an elegance about it as well that I kind of picked up off the page.
Do you have any idea where you'd like to see your characters go in season 3? Because you're all living.
Yeah.
Make that clear up front.
For now.
Yeah.
you didn't see episode 11.
I would like to see my character and her relationship develop with Andreas, and also her background. What was the journey that brought her where she is now? Why is she living by herself on top of a weed store? Yeah, right? You know, what brought her there? I'm interested. I want to know, you know? I mean, I have my own ideas, but yeah, I would like to see where she's from.
Certain things that I've been pursuing for a long time, really season 1 and season 2, sort of come to a conclusion in season 2. So I'm curious about what happens now that Project Ouroboros has sort of happened, and then what happens now with my relationships, both with Roman and with Olivia, which are in very particular places, like at the end of season 2.
I think it'll be interesting to see. I think Michael is somewhat of a loner.
Somewhat.
Yeah, probably understatement. It'll be interesting to see who he allies with, if anyone, whether he is able to trust to the extent that perhaps he needs to in order to accomplish what it is that he's trying to accomplish. For that matter, I think it'll be interesting to see how that happens with all the characters. There's a way in which everything that they are trying to accomplish can't be done on their own. So I think that'll be very interesting, and I'd like to see that happen, and I'd also like to see how Michael's quest either makes him or breaks him, because it has one resolution or the other, and it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds.
I think I want to also see my character interact with
I was
your
just thinking- I was
character,
just
you
thinking
know,
Yeah.
and Olivia and everybody else.
Maybe we could have like a Christmas episode where like it's sort of like outside the rules a little bit, where like we
Yeah.
meet at the Starbucks or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm ordering a Starbucks coffee, and oh, this is yours. Who are you? I'm like, oh.
I'm actually interested to see a scene between our characters as well, just because there's to me there's something that's kind of similar about them. There's like a restrained aggression that they both have that I don't even know how that would play in the scene. Whether
That'd be fun, man.
friends or foes.
Yeah.
I
I
could
think
be-
that's very possible that
Yeah.
that's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see your character masterminding any for the future of the company in the show in some ways? Because it seems like he's kind of taking some control.
He's quite territorial about the tower, and so yeah, I think that's the next. I'm curious to see where that goes. I mean, it would be unusual to find him anywhere else. So yeah, I think he's gonna dig in.
It's nice and warm in the tower in the middle of December.
That's right. Yeah, it suits me very nicely that you're in the tower while I was here in Toronto.
Yeah, you need some wood scenes.
We were just saying in the other room, it suddenly occurred to us, I don't think I have any scenes outside in season 2.
That was like me in the first season. I never
You're
left
always
my
inside.
apartment.
See, but you do see me in my pajamas twice.
Yeah, what is up with that sleeping mask? That
You
is
have
that
to talk
like
to somebody
is
else
that
about
like
that.
a Mardi Gras sleeping mask?
Yeah, that's where I get my superpowers, actually. It was originally, as that was written, actually, it was written originally as Price is in bed, he's got a sleep mask on, and he's surrounded by a dozen cats. Like that was the original conceit, and I'm allergic to cats, so I was like, well, look, we can maybe get ones that there are certain cats that you can be not allergic to, I guess. But I think it was too much of a problem. So, but the idea that they were thinking of me as like a cat person, I thought was very interesting.
Cool.
I'm glad to let that one go.
And do you have any ideas for what sort of projects Price could have in the works? I mean, we were talking to Madeline about Shelley, and she was like, "Oh, I think she should get a boyfriend."
Yeah, made to order.
Make it happen.
Sure, made to order partners. There's been a lot of talk about pretty much any character that dies that people like. They sort of want to send them through the tower. So I hear a lot about maybe Clementine's alive in the tower somewhere, or maybe Letha's alive in the tower somewhere, or maybe there's some weird amalgamation of them both.
Regarding all the mythological creatures that the show incorporates, if we could play like fantasy wish fulfillment for a second, if you could pick like a power to have, what do you think would be like really useful?
In general.
For our
Yeah,
characters?
Well, no, for like your own life. If you could take
Oh.
something from the show and just
Oh,
have it yourself right here and right now.
I would love the power to snap my fingers and be on the other side of, what's that called? Teleportation. I would love to do that because I grew up, my dad lived in one city, my mom lived in another city, so as I was in the car going back and forth, I was like, if I could have power, that's what it would be. So I actually thought long and hard about that question for a while.
and living in LA too, you could bypass all the traffic.
Yeah.
I like Price's super strength. I'd like to kind of explore that more, see what that's all about.
Okay.
I'd like.
A macchiato.
That sounds great.
Thank you.
The ability to heal people, to heal them not only physically but emotionally as well. Because I think so much of what we encounter in the world that we would probably all agree at the table if we were to talk about the various things happening in the world. A lot of it happens as a result of people acting out of their past and out of their hurts and their wounds. So I can't help but think to be able to just touch someone or will someone health.
That's so
You're
nice.
a good man.
I'm
So
so
that-
selfish. I would be there quicker.
I had no idea until he said, but you are selfish.
He can make you feel better about it.
Yeah, exactly.
He gets it quickly.
Up and go to different places around the world.
There
and
you
then,
go.
Yeah, so then I can touch people and then I teleport. Okay, yeah, okay.
And I'll just be the person that's like, I'll throw you up there. That's like the Wonder Twins. Their powers are so useless. The one that can be like an ice bucket or something. It's that's a terrible power.
So I know you guys don't really get scenes together. Who is the person who you really enjoy having scenes with? What character do you find the most fun to play against?
I love working with, Destiny and Peter, obviously, but I also love the dynamic with Destiny and Andreas. I love working with him. He's such a talented actor, and just the casting, my God, the
It's
casting
hard
is
to
so great, though,
Yeah.
I would love to.
Great question.
But I mean, I hardly, most of my interaction is with Peter and is with Andreas, so
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
true.
really have I love working with both of them. I never interact with really anybody else besides besides Peter's mother.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's hard again because truly everyone's so stinking talented. But if I think from just in terms of a dynamic, I think some of the interactions that the audience will see with myself and Dougray are interesting. I enjoy playing with Landon and Bill as well. There's a way in which there's a sense of antagonism that exists with those two that is a bit different with Dougray. And so it kind of opens up sort of a dimension with Dougray that gets to just sort of draw from different colors on the palette where Michael's concerned in a different way than I do thus far with Bill and Landon.
I really like because I have a lot of two-person scenes, and they're always so fun, regardless of who the person is with. Working with Bill is really fun, and Dougray is hilarious because his character hates my character so much that they're so much fun to play because I'm always like, hello, Norman. He's like, you cunt. And you're like, oh, here we go. But I think the scenes where I have like the most range to play things with is with Famke, especially this season. It's just we've had such a good time together. I think also because we've been freed to a certain extent of the limit. Like, we had a very particular mysterious relationship in season 1, which was, a lot of fun to do. But second season, I think because of the things that have happened to Olivia's character, she's been freed to start behaving in all these ways that I've never seen her behave like before. So, a lot of, I think some funny things ensue because of that, because she's acting so out of character, and that's been a lot of fun. It's been fun to watch Famke get to be playful in that way.
Thank you.
I think we're.
You can do the last question.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, how much more sinister do you think the show's gonna become if, it keeps going in this direction?
That's a good question.
Sinister. It's dark.
That's interesting. I think it's the same question wasn't asked earlier, but your response was interesting. There's a way in which I think anyone, whether it's a character we're portraying or in our lives, the world that we live in, that no one thinks they're bad or no one is evil in their own mind. Everyone is doing what they think they need to do in order to get what they think is reasonable for them to have, which I'm realizing probably isn't exactly your question. My head's trying to figure it out because in some ways I have to pull apart that notion that none of the characters are sort of sinister in their own right. And I think for myself in playing Michael, or even as I observe a lot of the other characters, it's important, for me at least, the way that I approach the work that I do to not sort of project that onto any given character. Otherwise I'm unable to empathize, and it denies me access to certain aspects of that character's experience. So I have not answered your question. Not intentionally.
Awesome, not answering it. That was really good. Should run for office. That's a good answer.
Sinister.
Great.
Oh,
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
thanks.